I think there are just some people that are born dumber than others, and those are the ones that feel like they should take risks. 60 to 70% of the people that tasted those sodas preferred Pepsi, the taste of Pepsi over Coke. I learned how to clean carpet the day before I did my first job. People really do hire on emotion. We buy products that we like, and we hire people that we know, like, and trust.
We're rolling. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into all of that, feel free to introduce yourself, what you got going on, all of that good stuff.
Cool. Thanks for having me. So I'm Jeff with Pitch 59. Just a little personal. My wife and I have 6 kids. I'm originally a farm boy from Idaho, and then went to Rick's College, and then BYU Idaho, and then
oh, nice.
did door-to-door sales for several years, and then I started up my own carpet cleaning company and bought out 2 other cleaning companies after that, and then had an idea in 2018, at the end of 2018, to solve a big problem that we had as small business owners, and that's where Pitch 59 was born, and that's what I do today. So
that's cool. Hey, real quick, I just had a question. I mean, I know we're going to dive in. We got a lot of time, but you bought 2 cleaning companies, and we had talked about this before. What was that experience like? Like, how did you know when your company was ready to start acquiring other cleaning companies?
Good question. The honest answer is we weren't ready to buy our first company. Okay. Probably even the second one either. But at some point, you just got to take a leap of faith and try things out. I mean, even if we lose money, it's an experience and we'll learn from it. But the first company that we bought was actually my brother's company. And he was interested in selling out his cleaning company in Fresno, California. And after we did some numbers, and I got my manager from Rexburg to move down to Fresno to run that one. That one went awesome. Like, I think it cost us $30,000 down to buy that company. Oh. And then within the first 12 months, we'd already made $80,000 in profit back from it. And it was great. And so we thought, well, let's just keep doing that. Let's go buy out companies, get SBA loans on them, and put down a kind of a minimal amount. And then, anyway, long story short, the one in Houston did not work out as we had hoped. We ended up losing a lot of money on that one. But
well, and that's kind of the idea behind, like, I guess there's downsides to every kind of venture into entrepreneurship. Like, whether you start your own, we've all had that story where you started and it doesn't go as planned, but it can also happen on the flip side with buying a company.
Sure.
That's crazy. That's cool, though. I've always been interested with that. Like, I think Walker Dibble wrote a book called Buy Then Build. Yeah. And I've always been fascinated with that kind of like, path. So I love that. Well, now let's get into Pitch 59, because now you've kind of given us your short little backstory, but let me ask you this. You were with your cleaning company, and this is what I like to ask a lot of my guests who come on. You're with your cleaning company, you're with, in solar sale, or excuse me, door-to-door sales, and now Pitch 59. Was that entrepreneurial spirit always there with you? Or was it something developed?
I think there are just some people that are born dumber than others, and those are the ones that feel like they should take risks. My dad was a real estate broker growing up, and I always appreciated that he owned his own business and that he could kind of work his own schedule, and I mean, his input was directly in association with his output, and so. Anyway, I always was interested.
I like that, though. But it's a good way to like get into business. Like, what kept you? What made you move from? Because sales can be pretty lucrative. Like, I've been in sales my entire career. Started things on the side, but like, what made you decide, like, I'm gonna not sell anymore and I'm gonna start a cleaning business? Because those are 2 different things. I like the idea of, like, the cleaning businesses, like AKA like boring businesses, right? Yeah. But like. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I was selling pest control in Southern California, and one day I saw a carpet cleaning truck cleaning a carpet at the apartments that we lived at. And I'm like, I went and talked to the technician there and watched what he was doing. I'm like, that's kind of cool, the way that you guys are doing that. And then I asked him some of the details, and I'm like, you know what, there's a bunch of apartment complexes in Rexburg. I'll bet you I could go door to door and sell carpet cleaning services there. And so ended up buying our first carpet cleaning van. I got a used van, a 2001 GMC, and we got a loan for $25,000 to buy the equipment to put in it. And then I learned how to clean carpet the day before I did my first job. So, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but anyway, I had a friend that had gone through classes with me, some carpet cleaning classes, and he let me
carpet cleaning classes?
Yeah, they have. It's through the IICRC. They'll do cleaning instruction and training and stuff for.
Okay.
They don't really teach you how to clean. They just teach you about cleaning, like the properties and the chemicals and that kind of stuff. And anyway,
that makes sense. Okay, cool.
Carpet clean the day before I did my first job. But I feel bad for that lady that I did. It wasn't the greatest cleaning.
But you got better as you went through time, I'm sure.
Got better, and I gave her a good deal on it, so it was good.
That's cool. And how long did the cleaning business last?
We sold off the last of our cleaning companies in 2020, so about 13 years.
Whoa, that's crazy. So towards the end of the cleaning, then I'm assuming it was a lot more hands-off, or were you still pretty hands-on with the cleaning? No,
I had awesome managers that were running my company. In fact, I work with a couple of those guys that I worked with in my cleaning companies. They're with Pitch 59 now. Mm-hmm. But I had some awesome people surrounding me in the cleaning companies. And the reason that we started Pitch 59 is we had purchased this cleaning and restoration company in Houston. I'm not going to go into details because it takes too long, but we ended up losing a lot of money on that company. And at the end, I was trying to figure out how to stop those losses that we were taking and bump up with the cleaning side of our company because I couldn't control a lot of the restoration stuff that was going on. And anyway, we were spending a lot of money on Google and Yelp and Home Advisor and Thumbtack and Angie's List. And the more I was spending on it, the more frustrated I became by it because the margins were just not there. It was just super frustrating. We have to do that because that's how companies compete. But it's a terrible experience for consumers. They're getting a biased list of the companies that pay the most to get up to the top rather than the companies that are actually legit and good. And I would have put our small business services up against any large business services. And I guarantee we have better service, like better customer service, better quality, better everything. But we can't compete with them on a dollar for dollar basis. And so we end up losing a lot of those clients. But anyway, long story short, we had an experience, and I realized that I wish that I could go back to the door-to-door sales approach where I could talk to people in person for just a minute and let them know who we are and what's unique and different about our service. And then we made that kind of an online thing with Pitch 59 where people can come live and pitch each other.
Yeah, and that kind of all started, I love that you saw this, and I think it's a cool part of the story that you were going on Angie's List and Home Advisor and Thumbtack, and you said it was just a poor customer experience. Can you tell me more? Like, just from in your opinion, tell me more about that. Yeah.
If you're a consumer, what you're getting is a biased list of the companies that pay that marketing platform the most. So if you're spending money on Google, you're spending money on SEO and on pay-per-click and on their Google guaranteed programs and stuff to get up to the top. That's what everybody does to try and compete. And so Google is collecting all this cash, and they're saying, hey, these are the companies that you should hire by putting them up at the top, because we're all subconsciously biased the lower on the list we go, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so these companies, these small businesses, like we were sometimes on the second and third pages. Sometimes we'd be up on the first page, up in the top, but it just depended what the algorithms were and everything, and then we'd get kicked off. And anyway, it was just a crazy, frustrating experience as a small business owner, trying to make a decent margin off of these jobs that we were getting and trying to get up ranked in the top and always being adapting and changing. Big companies can afford to pay those kinds of fees and those things to those companies. Small business owners can't, and they're oftentimes the ones that get hurt the most. And so we wanted to create something that helped small business owners.
And that's how Pitch 59 came up. You said you kind of took your door-to-door approach and you put it into like your video platform.
Well, I just knew that, so when I was doing door-to-door sales, all I had was a clipboard and a t-shirt with me. When I was marketing online, I had 255-star reviews, a great website, great pictures, sales, discounts, and everything. Yet those people that hired me most often were the people that knew me in person or that got to know me through a quick introduction. And so I was thinking, I wish that there was a way that I could take that door-to-door sales experience and put it online. And that's where Pitch 59 was born. And just letting everybody come to life and pitch themselves and what they do and who they are on a networkable pitch card for 59 seconds. Every pitch is 59 seconds or less on Pitch 59.
Yeah. And why did you pick 59 seconds?
Well, we tried 30 seconds at the beginning, but found that it was too short. It was too tough to get out a decent message in 30 seconds. But anything over a minute was just too long. People didn't want to pay attention. And so we decided to make it unique and cap it at 1 second less and called it pitch 59.
Well, it's true. Like the 30-second pitch is tough. It's like at that point, what do you want me to do, man?
Yeah. You don't really get to know them very much in 30 seconds. 1 minute is sufficient to actually get to know their personality and potential and stuff.
That makes sense. That's fair. So when you're going through this, what was and you kind of explained it so far, but I'd love to know, just kind of dig a little deeper into the thesis behind like why you thought that, getting, face to face, because it makes sense, right? For the people who are like, well, obviously if you can talk to somebody, that's the idea of sales, right? If you can talk, if I can get in front of somebody, like my chances of winning that deal go up substantially, right? Yeah. But it's like getting face to face is so tough. And so that's kind of, was that where it came from, or like, is that the problem you're trying to solve, or tell me more about that? Yeah.
I just know that it's really tough. Like before, me being able to pitch people depended on them seeing my Facebook advertisement. If I did a video and put it on Facebook, and then it was gone after a couple of days because it's in the past. And so I didn't have a way to let other people refer me as a human being instead of just my name and my phone number and my contact information. And I didn't have a way to stand out to people that were searching online for services. And so I thought it would be awesome if there was just this platform that was completely unbiased that allowed everybody to come to life and pitch for 59 seconds. And going back a little bit more into the psychology of this, people really do hire people that they know, like, and trust. When I was a door-to-door sales rep, the reason that people hired our company was not because of the name on my shirt. We were a no name, people didn't know the brand, but they were hiring me as a representative of that company. When you go onto Google or Yelp or Home Advisor, all you're looking at is a logo and their star ratings. And everybody has a 5-star rating nowadays because of reputation management companies. And you can buy your ratings and reputation now. But anyway, I was just thinking, online, there is no way for them to even know the people that they're hiring. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish there were at least a good, honest way to compare pitches and compare these people. And because when they hire a company, they're getting people. And so I thought, I wish there was a way that these people could come to life and introduce themselves and speak. Let them speak. Yeah,
interesting that you bring up the reviews and reputation management, because I think, didn't Amazon, I don't know if it was a lawsuit that they just went through, or maybe just maybe just a big problem that they had, but a ton of fake reviews.
Yeah. And it's really hard to control that because because one of the reasons is because they allow for anonymous reviews on these platforms. And so you can go onto Google and if you just enter in your email or whatever, or I don't even know if it requires an email, but you can rate any company. Right. And so there's very little accountability there. And so on Pitch 59, whenever you leave a testimonial for any company, you have to do it in person up to 29 seconds through video. So you have to show your pretty face. So everybody's pitch cards has testimonials there. And when you tap on that, there are no written anonymous reviews. Every review or testimonial is in person.
Do you feel like do you feel like that leaves room then for 2-star, 1-star, honest reviews if you have to put your face to it? Because I kind of feel like at that point, then it's maybe all you get is 5 stars. But I see the value of in person, right? I understand that. Yeah. But I'm just curious about the feed.
We're still finding that out. I think in general, you're going to have less negative reviews because people have to show their face. But on the other hand, people are actually more honest and you can tell from their body language if they're being real. When you read a Google review that's a 1-star and they're like, I hate everything about this company, they suck and they're terrible. And then you see who the person is and it's a sweet old grandma or something like that. You're like, come on.
Did you really write that?
Text doesn't convey emotion. Yeah. And so, and when you're at, when everything is anonymous and everything is text, you don't really know what people really think or feel about a specific company. And so people can come on and say, look, I really like this company, but you can tell by the way that they talk that they really didn't like that company. And so you're just going to get a lot more legit feeling from customers or testimonials. Yeah,
that's fair. I like that. But also it's also worth it. I think there's still value in reviews, even if they're all 5 stars, because you just get different perspectives. So right. I wasn't trying to come at with that question with anything other than genuine curiosity, right?
Right. And we know that the companies are going to get less reviews on Pitch 59 because everybody has to do it in person. It's just a little less comfortable. On the other hand, you're going to know that everything on Pitch 59 is human and real. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And then you think of like the bad reviews, right? Like I don't know. That's why I really don't like Yelp that much.
Yeah.
Yelp's not my favorite. Google reviews aren't really my favorite because, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're all biased to look for the bad reviews. Yeah. That's kind of what I felt like.
Not only that, I mean, if you look at Yelp, they've been sued for extortion. I don't know how many times. Because if you get bad reviews, if you stop paying Yelp, they'll put your, I need to be careful about this, but the rumor is that they would put your bad reviews up at the top so that that's what customers would see first. And then they'd also drop your free listing down, or your whatever you're listing on their platform. And Yelp, as small business owners, we had a lot of issues with Yelp. Yeah, and it was terribly frustrating. In fact, one of my experiences was we had signed up with Yelp down in Texas, and their minimum package was $400 a month. And so we signed the contract with them and started it for 3 months. And anyway, after 3 months, we'd gotten a total of 1 call from that platform from Yelp down there. Yeah. And we'd spent $1,200 on it. And anyway, I called them to cancel, and I'm like, hey, this isn't working. Anyway, she said, give me just a minute here. And she comes back on the phone a minute later, and she goes, hey, it looks like if we double your budget, then you can expect somewhere between 20 and 50 calls or whatever it was per month. And I'm like, wait. So spending $400 a month wasn't sufficient to see that we were just going to get 1 call out of those 3 months. Now we have to double that to test. I'm like, you guys are a joke. This is terrible. So anyway, I had to different platforms.
Well, that's just a bad salesperson at that point too, right? Like that's a bad sales process. You can't say that.
I don't care how many times you multiply 0, it's still 0.
Oh my gosh. Well, and that's just cringy too. You're just like, dude, you got to do, in my mind as like a sales trainer, I'm always thinking like, man, you got to do better than that, homie. Yeah. You can't just tell me that. You know? Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's really cool. And that makes sense, right? So, how does Pitch 59 work?
So we do these things called pitch cards. It's essentially, you can look at it as a digital business card, but on every pitch card, there's a 59-second elevator pitch with their video reviews. If you go to pitch59.com to check it out, you can check it out and see what the pitch cards are. Mm-hmm. You'll also start to see them floating around a lot more often now because people are starting to use pitch cards, and universities are asking all their students to create pitch cards. And anyway, it's essentially a digital business card that allows you to come to life and pitch people for 59 seconds with all of your relevant information on there. And then the way that it's used is a networking tool. So I can send my pitch card to you. You don't have to have the app. You don't have to have a Pitch 59 account or anything. It'll pop up on your screen. It'll be perfectly functional from the very first time. And then you can share my pitch card out or introduce me to other people just right there by tapping share. And wherever you send it, I get to come to life and pitch them. So that's cool. That's a basic premise of Pitch 59.
Yeah. And so who do you see using this the most?
Well, early adoption, we've seen that realtors and insurance and in the professional space, realtors and insurance and like mortgage officers, and they're eating it up. It's a really good way for them to stand out from their competition. Yeah. But like sales organizations, anybody that does sales, like you should look into Pitch 59. We're working with several different solar companies and pest control companies right now, and getting them going. It's an awesome platform if you're a door-to-door salesman, because then you can turn every one of your customers or every one of your homes that's interested in services to a referral that's going to refer you out, and they actually refer you out, not just your phone number and email.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I think that when you talk about sales and you talk about setting yourself apart, I remember that was a big deal in the auto industry. So we would we incorporated video all the time, like sending a thank you video. Yeah. Can you create different videos? Like, could I have like a thanks for the meeting or something like that? Or
yeah, I have a realtor that just signed up, and she created 1 thank you pitch card and 1 referral pitch card. Oh, and cool. So you can have as many pitch cards as you want. The way that we charge is $15 a month to have a pitch card. There's no contracts, no startup fees. There's no we kind of took everything that we hated about all the marketing and advertising spaces, and just did away with those and said, let's make this something that everybody can have.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is it's like the whole kind of business world is kind of shifting. And so I actually had this realization the other day, because as a salesperson, it's really like when you talk about like building relationships, right? Like what I feel like people have like define that word now as more like strategic partnerships. Like you need strategic partnerships to like advance in business, which is absolutely true. Relationships though take a long time. That's why I've always had that problem with like the phrase relationship selling. I don't think like building relationships is bad, but like forming those partnerships can be pretty simple. And it feels like now with Pitch 59, you know, and video especially, like you can start creating really solid partnerships because, you know, when you don't have the video and when it's just me talking to somebody on the phone, hey, I have this partner, you should work with them, they're really great. It's like, I trust Dalton, but I'm a little weary going into this. But if you can send like a video, and that changes quite a bit.
You're absolutely right. People like to know who they're working with. I mean, can you imagine if you moved into a new town or a new city and your wife is pregnant and you're looking for an OBGYN? Well, wouldn't it be nice for all of those doctors to come to life and talk to you for 59 seconds about what's important to them and see if you guys make an emotional connection? People really do hire on emotion. We buy products that we like, and we hire people that we know, like, and trust. And like we buy and hire things that make us feel good. That's what we do. The reason that like we buy cookies that make us feel good. We don't buy cookies that just taste good, but we buy things that make us feel good. And so anyway, we're all about it, like the emotional connection that people make in the professional world.
And isn't it funny how we've kind of come full circle on that, by the way? It's like social media kind of like took it from your community to now the world is a community, but then we've kind of brought it back full circle into like, now we're kind of focusing back on that.
I think we missed that community and that interpersonal connection. I mean, you think about COVID when nobody was doing, like, even though we can still do Zoom and everything, it's still really nice to be able to do stuff in person, right?
Yeah.
So the more human and the more personal we can make the world, I think the better the world will be. And we get so tired of all the filters on Instagram and TikTok and that kind of stuff. We're not building filters into Pitch 59. We want it to be legit. Like, if you've got freckles, like, own them. If you got a bad hair day, it's okay.
And you know what's good about that though? I think that really builds self-confidence in my mind. Like when you can own it and when you're okay with everything, and people are drawn to that. People are drawn to confidence. You know what I mean? Like they're drawn to people who are comfortable in their own skin. And that's what everybody strives to be, right? And we're not perfect 100% of the time, but when we get there, man, it's a beautiful thing when everybody's working together and when everybody's comfortable around each other.
One of my favorite pitch cards to show off is a lady down in Houston, where I used to live, that has purple and blue hair, tattoos up and down her left arm, and she sells commercial insurance to business owners. Yes. And when I showed business owners just like her headshot or her logo, and I would say, would you hire this lady to be your commercial insurance agent? And the response I'd get from a lot of them is like, I don't know.
Yeah,
she doesn't look like
not.
my typical insurance agent. I'm expecting a suit and tie, or like professionally dressed, whatever. Anyway, but then I said, okay, let's watch her pitch, and then I'm going to ask you the same question. So we played a 59-second pitch, and then afterwards, and she is like the most down-to-earth, lovable, awesome lady. Like, she just connects on an emotional level. She understands the pain points of insurance and like how people are frustrated because they don't understand it and they get taken advantage of because of that. And anyway, she just resonates on so many different levels. And afterwards, after showing them the pitch, oftentimes those business owners will be like, hey, would you mind just sharing me that pitch card? I'd like to contact her. Yeah. It's a cool experience to see that emotion, like those people connect.
Yeah, when you actually, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. I think that's great for salespeople, because that's really like the thing with salespeople. Like, and what I teach if I train a sales company or like a sales team is like, I'm like, if you can get them on the phone, or like if you can just get in front of them, you've got a better chance, because we can connect with people. That's why my company is called Empathetic Selling Solutions, is because like you can really build empathy. You can really like build this connection when you're face to face with somebody. It's really hard to do that anywhere else. Although it's possible, but it's just quicker. It's just, man.
Yeah.
It's easier and it's faster and it's more efficient, I feel like, too.
Absolutely.
When you can see
totally
someone.
agree. Yeah.
That's cool. And so when you're going through this, you teach people, I mean, do you have like some trainings or like some how-tos on how to, like how people can pitch themselves, like how the proper way to like set these pitch cards up?
Yeah. So we give everybody several different options to do their video. One is built into the app and the website. You can do your pitch right there, and we've got a built-in teleprompter and pitch topics, and then we've got pitch tips that you can read through and watch. But then we recommend everybody have as good of a video as they possibly can. And so I recommend working with a videographer. If you can afford it, hire a videographer and have them help you make a great pitch to people that's really well done with good lighting, good sound, good everything, because that makes a difference. Yeah. And anyway, so I mean, we encourage everybody to do a great pitch. We also offer what's called a virtual video shoot, where we'll do a 15 or 20 minute Zoom interview with you. And then we take that video and we edit it down to 59 seconds and then put background music on and stuff and make it look as professional as possible. That's a $149 option if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, we let everybody choose whatever type of the video they want. Just get a great pitch out there. The better the pitch you have, and there's no such thing as a perfect pitch. So don't worry about like always redoing it and always figuring it out. You need to have a good pitch that represents you well, though. And so once you get that good pitch out there, then you can have everybody share it around for you. You can network with other people on it, and it's a cool experience. Yeah,
that's great. So what are some of the things you look for in a great pitch? Like when someone's pitching themselves?
So most people, when they think of a pitch, they think, okay, I need to focus on what I do. I need to tell people what I do, right? So if I'm a realtor, the first thing that I immediately start saying is, I've been a realtor for 47 years and I help people buy and sell their real estate. And if you're looking for a home, like, I'm sorry, but that's what every realtor does. And so what we would tell you if you're looking to do your pitch is what makes you unique and different from everybody first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then second, what are the pain points that your customers have? Like what does everybody hate about your industry? If you're a realtor, what do people not like about realtors, or what do they not like about the home buying process? And then follow that up with how you take care of those issues. What do you do to solve those problems for those customers? But you've got to include some stuff that's unique. Like if you're the purple blue-haired insurance lady, like address the elephant in the room that you don't look like the typical insurance agent. And it's cool. Like let it own it, like you were talking about. But then address the pain points that people have and how you solve those pain points for people.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever read the book by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference.
I haven't read that. No, but
okay. But you know what I'm talking about. So in the book, he talks about one. By the way, I think that's one of the best negotiation books out there. He lays out. I mean, it's kind of like. It's kind of exaggerated, like he's an FBI hostage negotiator, so all of his stories are like these crazy life and death ones, and you're like, okay, but I'm negotiating like a $10,000 service. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not life and death. I'm going to go home after this and be fine. Right. So some of his things are a little exaggerated, but he goes over some really cool points that really work when you do them well. And one of them is just kind of like what you were describing it, which is he calls it the accusation audit, which is like when you tell people like everything. So like when I used to do this, and when I sold cars, or like even now, when I know I've really got to like get somebody's trust, and that is like, you know what? You know, when I was selling cars is a good example. I was like, everybody hates car salesmen. Everybody thinks we're sleazy. Everybody thinks I'm about to steal your money. I know all of that's true. So if you give me 15 minutes or 5 minutes, I'm going to show you why I'm a little different. And then hopefully we can move forward. Does that sound fair? And people, like, when you bring out those things, people are like, all right, fine. I'll give you 5 minutes.
I think our world is trained to like want to look synthetic. They say that all you have to do to be a professional is be 100 miles away from home and have a briefcase. But what we've been trained is, like with websites and with all these listings and commercials and stuff, is that we need to be as generic and fake as possible so that we can come across as professional.
Sure.
Well, guess what? That's not what resonates with every industry. Like most of the time, people resonate with people that think like them and that have similar values, similar understandings. If you can go out and highlight that type of stuff and just let people know, like, you're a real human being. If I'm a family guy, I'm going to own that I'm a family guy, and I'm going to own that I have 6 kids and that I do all this stuff. And that's not going to resonate with everybody, but it's going to resonate with the people that are going to want to work with me.
Right. I love that because, you mentioned like communicating your values. And that's just how we as consumers, like, that's why we are drawn to certain companies like Cotopaxi here in Utah is a great example of that. Like, they have amazing values and people are drawn to those values, and that's why they can sell one of the most expensive backpacks on the market.
I know.
Not that it's like a bad thing to sell an expensive backpack. They do an amazing thing, but everybody's happy to do that because of their values align, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned that because it's so important to like help people. And then it's even more important. And this is what's so frustrating. Like when I'm talking to businesses, right? Is like what you said at the end is like you won't nail everybody. You won't get everybody with the values that you share, but you'll get the people who want to work with you and who are willing to do business with you. Yeah. And that's so important.
Well, and Simon Sinek in the book Start With Why, he talks about how people buy why you do what you do, not what you do.
Yep.
And they buy that motivation and that determination and that passion that you have for whatever you do. But yeah, I just think it's really important that people don't like. People are always asking, can I watch other people's pitches and see how they do it? I'm like, sure, absolutely. But don't tailor your pitch after somebody else because they're a different person. They have different morals and values and motivations and everything. Like, your pitch needs to be uniquely you. So
uniquely you, and then just like people are going to resonate with you. I think all of the flaws and everything, and you get to see that in a video. And I think that's part of I think that's really important when you pitch yourself. I mean, because even with you even hear that with investors, like Simon Sinek's, that phrase, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. That happens with like companies, that happens with like people looking for funding, right? Like, it's the old saying, like, don't bet on the horse, bet on the jockey kind of thing. Yeah. Right? Like that's just what we do. Like, I'm not looking for a loan, I'm looking for somebody who can help me get a loan, right?
Everything stems from the need that we as human beings have to associate and like work with other human beings. And so like we don't like the idea of just working with robots. We don't like the idea of just working with everything that's automated. We like the idea of working with people that actually care about our best interest. And robots don't care about your best interest.
They're just programmed to get the job done for the most part, right? At least now. Although I'll tell you, do you remember it was a few years ago when Google made, this is just an off thing, but when Google had that AI calling software where they had done it for a hair salon. Do you remember watching this?
I don't think I remember this.
Oh my goodness. It was a crazy. So they had they're on Google, you can call for like business hours and things like that, schedule appointments. And usually like when you go on Google and you schedule an appointment, it just pulls up a calendar and their available times and you go and you're done. But they had made this AI and they had tested that, they had tested this at a conference, and basically they had someone call in. And it wasn't a person that answered; it was an AI, but it didn't sound like a computer. Like we've all heard the ones like we know when it's a computer on the phone, but this one didn't sound like a computer. And she was like, "Hey, how can I help you? This is whoever. How can I help you?" And she even did. When we on the phone sometimes when we're setting up an appointment, and we go, "All right, let me look at my calendar. Hold on," and we do that whole like, she did that.
Yeah, I still hear those things. Like I've been on the phone when they do that kind of stuff still. So I know that they've improved that.
Yeah.
Too. It's fantastic technology. And honestly, like, here's the thing, Dalton. We need that automation. We need that robotics and that kind of stuff. It just has its place. It's not for whether or not you want to work with a realtor or if you want to work with a specific insurance agent. Like that stuff has to be human. All the other stuff can be automated. And that's what's awesome about the world that we live in is if your imagination can create it, then there's a good chance that it can be created.
Yeah. And the only reason I tell that story is like, man, they've gotten good, but it just goes to your point, and I'm glad you brought it up, which is like that stuff has its time and place, but it'll never replace actual talking to a human being. Like there was a scare there for a while, and it kind of comes up every now and then. Like AI is going to take like a salesperson's job. Like one of the big ones is like Gong. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do. Yeah, they do like a lot of sales AI and stuff like that. And, they just have so much data that they can really predict now, like what to do. But I'm always like, dude, I don't know. it won't happen for a long time because we just want that human connection. Like, how many times do you call the DMV and you skip through all the things because you just press 0 so many times because you just want to talk to a human? Like, I just need to talk to somebody.
Correct. Let me give you one quick example of this. So there's a book called Biology, and it's BUY-ology. And in it, he talks about like the psychology of why people buy and how they hire and stuff. But anyway, it was really interesting. Back in the 1970s, there was a test that was done with Pepsi and Coke where they had a bunch of cups of Pepsi and Coke, and they asked people to taste them and tell what their preference was. And I can't remember the exact percentages, but it was like 60 to 70% of the people that tasted those sodas preferred Pepsi, the taste of Pepsi over Coke. Yeah. And then what they did was they put the actual cans of Pepsi and Coke out there and asked people to taste them and then to give them their preferences. And that same audience flipped to where they preferred Coke when they saw the branding in the can versus Pepsi. And they're like, what in the world? People buy soda because of the taste, right? Not the case. People buy the experience of what they're like. They look for a specific experience. And so they associated Coke with like family reunions and boating trips and all these nostalgic good experiences that they'd had. And they were willing to sacrifice the taste for that experience that product offered. And so we as human beings, we do that kind of stuff all the time with people, with businesses, with products, whatever it is. We buy on emotion. Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Like, and what's crazier in my mind is the whole idea of nostalgia. Like, man, that's a powerful one, right? But, and I read this in a book and I've looked it up, but like nostalgia is like, means like pain, like it's like a longing. It's like this pain that we have for a place that we can't visit anymore, you know? And it's funny how that's what we use to judge like what we like, you know? Because it's true for me. Like, that's why I'll never live in my hometown again. But I every once in a while I get that nostalgic and I'm like, man, that'd be nice. And then I go, but not really though.
Right. The one certain aspects of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, but it's those feelings. And when you tap into those feelings, it's like, it is different. You know what I mean? That's crazy. So, when when somebody comes up and they're like, how to, we've gone over some of the aspects, but then like, when you talk about how to pitch yourself, it's what makes you unique. You call out those pain points, you answer questions. I mean, do you ever get into like kind of the psychology of like, with people of like, cause I would think like if you're going to pitch yourself like that and you got 59 seconds, you would want to answer maybe some really specific questions. And I guess that's what you meant with like, calling out what like pain points and things like that. But I'm curious, maybe a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Once again, I go back to the fact that there's no such thing as a perfect pitch.
Okay.
So like you can have two people that do phenomenal pitches that are completely different and they're going to resonate with different people in different ways. And so what we try to really push is you need to get people to resonate with your personality type and the person that you are. And so if you're a very data analytical, computer science nerd, then be that nerd and go out there and push it. Don't try to be the smooth talking salesman that is not that. And so, like, I have a brother that did a pitch card. He's a broker, an investment broker down in St. George. And in his pitch, he talks about like what makes him good at his job. But then he said at the end, he's like, I'm brutally honest. I tell people the way it is. And that doesn't resonate with everybody, but it certainly resonates with the specific target audience that he wants to work with. And so at the end of the day, it's just be you, be real, be natural, and then address those pain points that customers have and how you resolve those pain points for them.
I like that though, because, when I'm talking about sales and I just see a lot of the correlations between like this and sales, right? Because, again, there's only like a few, like everybody is so fascinated in the sales world with like closing and objections and like, how do I overcome all this? And I'm like, but that's like, there's like 5.
Yeah.
There's only 5.
Yeah.
There's questions that generally happen, but like real objections, if they come up, it's like money, time, got to talk to my partner, whoever, and then like, and maybe a couple of unique ones to your industry, but there's not a lot.
You know who the best salesmen are like your best friends, the people that endeared you to them, that make you want to be around them.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you about an experience I had. I bought a Subaru Legacy like 6 or 7 years ago. And it was when the new model had just come out, and I was looking for a Honda Accord, or I was looking for a couple of other different types of cars, and I went and test drove a bunch of them, met a lot of different salesmen. I found a Subaru that was cheaper down in Salt Lake. But then this dealer, or this car salesman in Idaho Falls that gave me a quote, and he was so cool. He was so down to earth, so non-pushy. And he was just like, yeah, I mean, whatever I can do to help you. If you want to take the car overnight, go ahead and take it overnight. And anyway, he was just the most laid back, easy. And I love working with those types of people. I ended up buying the car from him, even though it wasn't the cheapest car that I could have gotten. And maybe it wasn't the perfect car that I just really liked the guy and I wanted to support him. So at the end of the day, I think I do that a lot with like fast food places. Like if they treat me really well and I like the people there, I'm going to go there more often, even if I don't love their food as much as some other place.
Yeah. So, well, and it just goes to prove a point like that's Amy Cuddy brought up in her book Presence, but the Harvard psychologist did a study on how we judge people. Yeah. And we judge people off of warmth and competence. Yeah. So we try to answer two questions, right? Like, do they know and do they care? But we actually lean more towards warmth. Yeah. Versus, so we'll put up a little bit of the not like, but what you're saying, like not incompetence, but like, okay, it's a little, it's not the best, or it's not like he doesn't, you know what I mean? And we'll put up with a little bit of that if we know that someone cares enough and they're willing to help us.
Yeah. 70% of employers and consumers make hiring decisions based on personality, character, and potential versus just skill sets and credentials.
Yeah. So, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So what's crazy is like when businesses get applications, they compare everybody by their skill sets, right? By those resumes and everything. Yeah. But then oftentimes when the person walks in the door within the first 30 seconds, you're like, they're not going to be a good fit. Or they might be great good. But how many people did they pass over that could have been fantastic employees, but they just didn't have that one extra year of experience, or they didn't have that specific degree that you were asking for. Man. Or they could have been the best employee ever. And so what we're trying to do with Pitch 59 with the resume pitch cards is, and this is what the universities are partnering with us now to get out to their students, is let's show off the human side of them too, in addition to their resume. The resume is important, but so is that personal soft side of them too that you're going to do.
Interesting that the resume would come up. And it's funny because like in a field where like discrimination is a huge thing. And I'm only bringing this up because you remember like when they used to teach us about resumes, it was like, don't put your picture on there, like all this stuff. And it was like,
they still do that to some extent, depending on where you're at, but
yeah, but like why? But my whole thing, it's just, I'm on your side with that. It's like, why wouldn't you just send a video? It's like, I have always thought hiring is just so archaic. Like that's one of the fields that's just so like in the past. Yeah. Just like, dude, why? I don't even like applying for jobs if I don't know anybody there. It's just because like, I'm just sending you my resume and you're never going to call me.
Piece of paper. Yeah. Yeah. So we actually agree with the premise of not putting your picture on a resume because that allows for surface level discrimination where they can just judge or make a decision based on a color or a gender or a race or whatever, an ethnicity. Mm-hmm. So we are 100% in favor of allowing those people to come to life and talk to you because that's where that emotion can come through. That metaverbal and nonverbal communication is really important.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think like you would definitely lower the hiring pool. You would definitely put a cap in if you had to watch a bunch of videos, right? It's just wild. I mean, I understand all of the pitfalls of HR and hiring too, because when you have 100 applicants, I mean, that's 100 minutes of things I got to watch, right? But then wouldn't you be more intentional about who you put that application in front of, right? I think it would just create a lot more intentionality in the hiring process.
Say you spend 100 minutes going through people's resume pitch cards, but how much in interview time is that going to save you? How much? I mean, you're going to narrow that interviewing down to maybe 2 or 3 candidates that you know are going to be good qualified candidates because you've already checked out their resume and their personal pitch. You're going to have a lot better idea. It's amazing to see how, like, once you watch somebody's pitch, you're going to feel like you know them. And then when they come in for that interview, you're going to be like, okay, I know who you are. I know the way that you talk. I know the way that you present things. I know that there's so much stuff that you already know about that person after watching their pitch. It's really cool.
It is cool because it does work too. Like when I was looking at jobs, I was looking for jobs. I had heard that you should like find them on LinkedIn or find their email and send them a video, like a 60-second video, a pitch card, right?
Now you've got they're actually everywhere.
They're actually great. And I got a bunch of responses like, oh, wow, dude, this is crazy. I ended up like getting a job a different way. But it was just really cool that you could even get responses like where like they would never look at your resume, but they'd watch your video. And that's kind of the crazy thing about these podcasts, too. People thought I was crazy, like doing long form interviews. And I was like, well, yeah, but like we don't listen to a 30-second radio commercial, but they'll listen to an hour-long conversation with somebody. If it's interesting and it keeps you engaged, you know what I mean? I think that's sick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It'll be interesting to see where we're at in a few years too, with the data that we've gathered and how we can help people with their pitches at that point. We're still a new startup, but it is encouraging and intriguing to see all these people create pitch cards and see it actually help them to land that job or land that customer or land whatever they're trying to.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm I used to hire salespeople, like I would be in charge of hiring salespeople, and sometimes I do now, or help people like craft sales interview questions. And I'm like, throw all the questions away. I don't care about your resume. Like if you come in and meet, because like if I feel comfortable around you, then my customers are probably going to feel comfortable around you. You know what I mean?
They can represent you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, it's not about like, I don't really care what you did. Like, that's why I love sales. Well, at least some sales. Tech sales in Utah is kind of funky. Like, they're all like bachelor's degrees and like 10 years of experience to be an SDR. And I'm like, homie, that's crazy. I'm like, can you talk to somebody and make them feel comfortable around you? You got then I'll teach you everything else you need to know, man.
Interpersonal skills. Yeah.
Yeah. So soft skills, but it's just wild how we like, just in the sales world, especially, like I get it if you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or you're something technical, but like in sales, man, just come and talk to me.
Well, even then, I mean, how often wouldn't it be awesome if you had a doctor that had the skill sets, but also had like the understanding and cared about you as a human being? Like those ones that ask a lot of questions and are very inquisitive and resolve your concerns before you go and meet with them. Like there are so many different use cases where just allowing people to come to life and talk to you for just 1 minute is amazing. It really helps to resolve a lot of concerns.
I love that. Well, I thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your wisdom in this episode. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of Pitch 59. Maybe follow you if they want to do that. All that good stuff.
Yeah, feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. It's Jeff Bitton with Pitch 59. Also, just go to pitch59.com. If you're interested in getting a pitch card, just create your pitch card there on Pitch 59. Just click on create a pitch card and it'll walk you through the experience, and then download the app and then start networking people's pitch cards. Like all these people that are creating pitch cards too, they can send you pitch cards and you can keep them in your pockets there. You can flip over people's pitch cards and chat with them. You can search for people on Pitch 59. There's a lot of different things you can do, but at the end of the day, what we encourage everybody to do is get your pitch card, whatever type of pitch card you need. We've got 5 different types of pitch cards right now, and let it work for you and let it sell for you, whatever you do.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you so much, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dalton.